Sam Ames, who just walked in with a big giant bag of coffee, which is always cool. And how he got mixed up with Randy and those guys over at the Covenant Coffee is beyond me. But Sam, good morning. How are you? Get up, scoot up to that microphone there.
Good morning, Mr. Cox.
It's always good to see you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
How are the digits?
I can almost make a fist, just real close. I got the cast off last week and back to work.
You have this propensity for doing like long or difficult or whatever bicycle things, and then just crashing inexplicably. Like when you got it made, you're like almost done, and then you wreck and injure yourself.
Oh yeah, this broken hand is the worst bike story in the whole world. I mean, there was nothing flamboyant about it. It was a buddy ride, and turned around and looked behind me and couldn't get the hand back on the bar and hit a pothole at 4.5 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's always those dumb things.
Yeah.
I was in Arroyo Grande a year before last, and I went on a pretty long bike ride and had a lot of adventures, like almost getting hit by cars and running off and all this stuff, and then getting off road and doing it, and had a big old time and never had a problem. And I was riding back on a flat dirt road, and I just turned, the front end just washed out, and I went right over the handlebars, and I'm all bloody and dirty. I was done.
Yeah, well,
I could see the house. I was done. I was just on a dirt road.
Yeah, I was 20 feet from the street, just coming off the dirt on the pavement. It was just I just sat there in a cloud of dirt, just
that's all with a broken
wondering
hand.
how did this just happen after 34 years of craziness of things I've done on a bicycle.
That's just absolutely stunning. And the only problem that I've ever had with Sam is you sold me a defective bicycle.
Oh no, Kerry Ryan sold you a defective.
Oh, Kerry sold me, but it was. Okay, I would always see...
I salvaged you from that whole thing, if you recall.
Yeah, exactly. Sam would be riding down like Stockdale Highway or whatever, and I'd be in my car, and he would pass me. And I'd think, man, that guy is going super, super fast. It must be the bike. So, and I bugged you for like 3-4 years, dude, sell me that bike. And he finally sold me the bike, and then I got it, and it didn't go fast. It just doesn't go fast anymore. And I thought, there's something wrong with this bike. It doesn't roll like it did with Sam at all, but I've since gotten over it.
Well, I think you scoot along just fine on the bike.
I tell you what, after your third knee surgery, it is the best rehabilitation tool. A bicycle it's a zero impact, and you build those muscles back up. I wouldn't be ambulatory right now if it wasn't for bike.
Well, when I was in that industry, we always tell people all the time. I mean, it's in physical therapy friends and all the guys we know. It's like it's the number one thing people can do for virtually ever. I mean,
and this is true. I had to get a knee brace after my last, and the insurance paid for it, and because it cost $800.
Wow.
Insurance paid for it. Insurance companies should pay for people bicycles. They should prescribe you bicycles.
It's been several years. There was some discussion. We actually had a couple of customers when I worked at Action Sports that had written prescriptions.
No kidding.
Yeah, one of them was a veteran, I remember specifically, and he had worked a deal with the VA down south.
Oh, good.
Got him a recumbent bike. It was awesome. I mean, I wish there was more of that.
I'll bet you they do, but I'll bet if they do that, it would have to be like a stationary bike.
Yeah, I mean, well, in my book, pedaling is pedaling. It's much better outside.
Not mine, man. If I'm gonna ride 10 miles, I better be 10 miles away.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
I hate just sitting there and it's just nothing. You're in the same spot, and there's no sense of motion or danger, or
Sure.
I might fall down. So you got to be alert.
Yeah, hit a pothole
And break your hand like a dope.
Right.
Let's talk about coffee.
Yeah.
How'd you get mixed up with Randy Martin?
Oh, crazy Randy. We go back. We've known each other for quite some time.
That's all the more reason why it makes it curious that you ended up in.
He's a very good friend, and we had chatted. He's supported all of our bike endeavors. He and Zach have brought coffee out at god awful hours, and given us some funding and brought us foster youth to work at the races, and so he's been a huge supporter. So several months ago, we were having a couple of beers and talking about life and going through some things, and he had mentioned an opportunity to do some work with Covenant, and I'm freelancing with woodworking and violins and bike races.
Yeah, it's like I said, you were the last Renaissance
guy. Like I needed one more job, right? Yeah. But the Covenant mission and story is really pretty darn inspiring. So it was really kind of a timing thing. It came around just right, and I wanted to bring some skills to the table that I have, and he needed a little bit of assistance, and so we're having a great time. We're promoting the mission of working with former foster youth, roasting great coffee, and I want to increase that footprint here in Bakersfield.
Yeah, I don't blame you. No, and the first time I heard the Covenant story, I felt more than a little bit guilty, because everybody's aware of what foster kids are in that system and how that works. And it's not great, but it is what it is. But nobody ever thinks about those kids when they get aged out of that system. Where do they go? Kids that have been bounced around from foster home to foster home, they never really had to put down roots or had a chance to get a job and learn job skills and all that. And these are kids that are just begging to become statistics.
Yeah,
when they get thrown out into the world.
And I won't overspeak. My tenure with the company is still new. First couple of months, and I'll tell you, the very first day I was there, Randy called me and said, "Hey, trial by fire, I need your help." And we went and moved a foster youth out of a home who had been down at Covenant, mopping floors and cleaning windows, getting what we call volunteer hours, and I went home that night and cried. I mean, the Covenant story, what we do, and at the end of the day, it really is about producing a great coffee product, but that doesn't happen without the youth. So, they come out of the foster care system and they need job skills. They need to know how to roll up a garden hose.
Yes, something to put on a resume.
Yes, so that's really what we do, and we call it the pipeline, and we want to grow the footprint because that's how we get more kids to come through. Mr. Bean's been talking about his homeless fatigue, and there's a lot of things in the last 2 weeks.
He's a bad person.
Oh, he's a great person. I love that guy.
Wait, Richard Bean?
Well, but think about it for a second. His point of how some of this happens, that's a feeder to that homeless problem.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we look at it, and Randy and I were talking about this and said, hey, for every youth that we can quote unquote assist or rescue or guide or at least get hands on, maybe that's one more or less homeless person out there walking around with no mission in life.
Yeah, because you always hear about this person, they fell through the cracks.
Right.
These kids, these aren't cracks, these are chasms that they're just it's amazing.
It is,
that you can rescue kids from that system.
And the foster care system is, as I've learned in just again my short amount of time, it has its pitfalls. There's unfortunately some bad apples out there that use it as a source of revenue.
Sure.
So we're fighting the good fight. We're roasting coffee every day at North Chester and getting it out in the community. And
that's the
there it is.
And here's the remarkable thing though. Back when years and years ago, before the earth cooled, I spent like a year developing my own coffee at Green Frog Market. They had the roasters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when they were going out, I was in a full blown panic because I had and so Randy calls me like hey, we can make your coffee. Bring me some.
Awesome. Yes.
And so I've managed to keep it alive. But here's the thing, if the coffee sucked, I would still be so behind Covenant. But the fact is, it's amazing.
Oh, I've sat down there, and I'm learning like I'm a sponge, right? I'm into 9 things at any given time, and this for me was just fascinating. So his son Zach and I have been roasting and watching the beans crack, and then blending. Getting into mixing a Tanzanian with a Kenyan and a Sumatra and a Yirgacheffe. I mean, it really is an art, and anybody can quote unquote cook beans, but really to kind of come up with unique profiles and flavors and do what we do and share that with businesses and individuals in Bakersfield,
and not for nothing to invest in a state-of-the-art roaster and which they did all, and then the knowledge to operate it. Are there like businesses that can hire you guys to like provide their coffee?
Sure,
because everybody should do that,
right? We have this funny motto we adopted a couple weeks ago. It says, why buy anything else? And we have lots of businesses: Sangera Subaru, Jim Burke Ford at the Auto Mall, Luigi's, Mama Tosca's. We lots of places that really produce, that buy our coffee, and that's one of my jobs with Covenant is to keep getting it out there. So. Yeah, if you're listening, look us up online and let me come visit you and see what we can do for you.
Because we have, do we even have, because we have like a kitchen down here now.
We should have them here.
I mean, I'll pay for it if we could have just like we could just have it. Nobody else can have it, just me and Tweeg. Nobody else is worthy. But
dutifully noted.
It would be nice to just go down the hall and go, oh, here's our coffee maker, and here's a delicious cup of Scott Cox Custom Blend coffee from Covenant. I'd like to be able to do that.
Well, here's your first 5-pound bag.
We're on the way. Right, I'm sorry, first 2-pound bag. See, Tweak's eyes just got about that big. No, I really appreciate your stopping by and doing that, and I'm a huge fan. The only I really wish there were more of them, because there's a Starbucks on every corner, and Covenant is not in the most convenient location. I get that.
So we're working on a couple of things. We're not going to be popping up Covenant kiosks all over town, but we do own a pretty cool little coffee truck. It's kind of a retro. It's sat for a little while, so she's ready for a for a makeover, and we really want to get that out and around town. People can certainly come see us at our coffee house on North Chester, but if it's not the most convenient location here between now and the first of the year, we're going to push hard to get what we call the Pink Lady out and about. So
nice. I'd like to see you have about 35 locations around town.
We would like that.
There's a suite right across the way there that's available. That one on the corner.
There you go.
I don't know which one it is, but I think you could rent it for a reasonable amount of money.
Well, we're doing exciting things. We'll keep fighting the good fight. Working on potentially doing our own K-cup packaging, which should be very exciting for offices and businesses.
And you can, by the way, and if you really want the coffee, you can already buy the blank K-cups with the little thing in it and put the coffee in it.
Yeah, we have K-cups available at Covenant, and then also available for delivery. And it just was limited. Our first run was a really big learning curve, so that was limited to one blend of a Guatemalan. But we'll be doing hopefully 4, 5, 6 different.
There you go.
And competitive. I mean, if we procure the machine, now we are the manufacturer, and we can significantly decrease the cost. So
nice.
Be competitive. We want to get it out there. So
right. Well, if your business or your home or whatever, if you want, you can get. I swear this is true. You can get the best coffee you've ever had and be doing the most good in your community while you drink that coffee. And to me, that's the most remarkable thing you could say. And
I'll tell you the last quick pitch, and then I'll let you get back to biz. But one of the things that's growing for us is people can go online to Covenant and order. If North Chester isn't convenient, and obviously we don't have a great retail presence, and we'll keep striving for that. You can go online, order it. We'll mail it out in a couple of days. And,
no kidding.
For a specialty coffee, it's a competitive price.
And another thing you could do, it's less convenient, but you can first get a radio show, then complain about not having the coffee around in such a way that will irritate the guy who runs the business, and he will send somebody over with a bag. It's a longer way to go about it. It's a circuitous route. All right. Well, you stop by any time. Maybe start wearing gloves.
Yeah, or just not fall off my bike. How's that?
I've never considered not falling off a viable option. It's gonna happen.
No, it's hey, I tell her it was 34 years. It was a good run.
Yeah, you had a good run, but and you're probably out there. What you could do is just get a cast all the time while you're riding your bike.
I couldn't cut that thing off fast enough.
Yeah, I can just imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're up and around, and now we will start the countdown for when you injure yourself again.
Thanks so much for letting me stop by.
All right, keep at it, man. Thank you, brother. That's Sam Ames, who is one of them. He can fix your violin. He can build you a table. He built this table, Tweak. That guy built this. No fooling. I mean, seriously. He and Matt Clark are 1 and 2. They're the twin towers of woodworking excellence in Kern County. We'll be right back. And one of them's a lawyer. We'll be right back. It's News Talk 1180 and the new 96.1 KERN. We're streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.